Good morning and welcome to another Ministry Minute with Pastor T. Look here, this morning I'm talking about we don't know who God will use to help us. I am in the New Living Translation Bible. I am in the book of Luke chapter 10, and I'm going to start at verse number 30. It says, Jesus replied with a story. A Jewish man was traveling from Jerusalem down to Jericho, and he was attacked by bandits. They stripped him of his clothes, beat him up, and left him half dead beside the road. By chance, a priest came along, but when he saw the man lying there, he crossed to the other side of the road and passed him by. A temple assistant walked over and looked at him lying there, but he also passed by the other side. And then a despised Samaritan came along. And when he saw him, he felt compassion for him. Going over to him, the Samaritan soothed his wounds with olive oil and wine and bandaged them. Then he put the man on his own donkey and took him to an inn where he took care of him. The next day, he handed the innkeeper 2 silver coins, telling him, "Take care of this man. If his bill runs higher than this, I'll pay you the next time I'm here." Now, which of these three would you say was a neighbor to the man who was attacked by the bandits? Jesus asked. The man replied, "The one who showed him mercy." Then Jesus said, "Yes, now go and do the same." Amen. Look here. Here it is. I'm the religious scholar, a teacher of the law who knew what the word said, was trying to question Jesus and trip him up. And Jesus answered with this parable. And he let us know that, look here, the pastor and the deacon was supposed to be the one helping her, but the despised Samaritan, the forgotten about, the one that you didn't like just because they was a Samaritan. See, Jews and Samaritans, they didn't get along. They didn't like each other. They were prejudiced. Jews that hated Samaritans. And so here it is. A Jew was in trouble. And the two Jews that saw him, the priest and the deacon, and the Levite, they saw him and they went on and crossed over the other side of the street. But here it is, the Bible declares the despised Samaritan. Had this Jew been awake to see who it was to help him, he wouldn't accept the help. But here it is, he was half dead, left for half dead in the ditch. And this despised Samaritan saw him, had compassion on him, took care of his wounds, put him up in a hotel, paid the tab, and told the innkeeper, "Look here, if this ain't enough, I'll give you some more when I come back." We don't know who God gonna use to help us. And so while we're not liking people because of the color of their skin, while we're not liking people because of how they worship the Lord, we worship on Sunday and they worship on Saturday. We got a lot of spirit when we sing our songs. They sing, they sow us door. While we are at odds, because I may be Kojic or Baptist and you may be Pentecostal or Apostolic of faith, we don't know who God is going to use to help us. And so while we got all these isms and schisms, we need to be saying, "Lord, I just thank him." Here it is, the Bible declares, then a despised Samaritan came along. And when he saw the man, he felt compassion for him. Hold on, wait a minute. You mean to tell me the priest, the pastor, saw what was going on and the pastor looked the other way, walked across the street? Why? Because the pastor had on his priestly garments. Why? Because the pastor got on his free priest Brooks Brothers suit, don't want to get his gators dirty. He went across the street. The deacon, the one that's apt to teach him, the Levite, you mean to tell me the one that calls down heaven, sits on the front pew, praise him, sing hymns. He looked at this man, a fellow Jew, and walked across the street, did not help, but it took somebody outside the faith. It took somebody that wasn't naming the name of God. It took somebody that don't do tithes and offering. It took somebody that don't sing in the choir, that's not on the usher board. That when they come to our church, we sit them on the back pew. It took that person, the despised Samaritan, to lift him up, to help him out, to try to help to restore him back to health. We don't know who God will use. So before we turn our nose up at people that are different from us, that don't have the same protocols that we have, that don't have the same theology that we have, God will use anybody and everybody that he wants to use. So the Bible is letting us know that he says, now which three of these would you say was a neighbor to the man who was attacked by bandits? He was a neighbor. This despised Samaritan was neighborly. It was the pastor and the deacon that didn't have no compassion, that didn't have no love. So on today, before we start thinking who God gonna send for us to help us, just know we don't know who he will use. Amen. God bless you. I hope you've enjoyed this ministry minute. And if it be the Lord's will, I'll be back Sunday with a preach word. You have yourself a blessed day.